everybody, and welcome to Total Football Talk. I'm Anthony.
And I'm Eric.
And we're back. This is going to be a pretty in-depth show. I got a rant that I'm going to go on here in a little bit. Probably going to not start with it, but we'll end up doing it here pretty quickly. So, Eric, we covered the Denver-Arizona game kind of while it was going on. We knew Denver was going to win, but look, my takeaways from this game is there was a lot more problems with this football game. I think it's funny that Arizona fires their coordinator and tries to blame him as if that's the problem. When you lose 45 to 10.
It's funny, though, that you say that because Mike McCoy, that's 2 years in a row where he hasn't been able to finish the season. So, hey, you know what? By all means, it could be him.
Well, I mean, I doubt it. Last time I checked, the offensive coordinator is not responsible for the other team running for 350 yards, throwing for 9,000 yards, and putting up 35 points. I might be wrong, but, you know, look, Mike McCoy is a perfect example of recycled dog crap. They keep recycling the same garbage coaches thinking it's going to create the winning formula. I don't get it. I'll never get it, and it's not my job to try to figure it out, but it is really annoying. Look, the Cardinals, they are a dumpster fire in every sense of the word, and it has everything to do with their head coach, and it has very little to do with any other position, because as Harry Truman once said when he was president, the buck stops here. Well, unless, of course, you're Steve Wilks, then if you're Steve Wilks, it's not my fault. The system needs time. It's the offensive coordinator's fault. It's the players. They haven't been coached the way I need them to be coached to do the things that I need them to do. No, your job as a head coach is to find out what your players are capable of doing and then working around those parameters while instilling your game plan. But what do I know? I've only been a coach for 15 years. This guy's garbage. He's absolute pathetic garbage. And anybody out there, and I had this happen to me once before, Eric, where we had a fan out there who tried telling me that because these guys are in the NFL, that they know more than everybody else and that they have a little bit more ability than somebody who's not in the pros. I'm going to check that right now at the front door. That is bull crap, okay? The difference between those in the NFL and those that aren't is simply that those in the NFL had connections and knew the right people. That is it. Coaching is talent. And either you know the right, it's not like football. It's not like playing the game where you see a really good guy and you go, we need to get that guy, and then you go and recruit him. Okay? You see a really good coach and you go, well, look at the talented players that he had around him. I have seen so many good coaches miss out on opportunities to go pro, miss out on an opportunity to go college. It has nothing to do with having pro football next to your name when it says head coach. It has everything to do with your ability to know how to coach this game. And this guy has no clue. He is going to be here next year, and I'm irritated because now you have Hugh Jackson and Steve Wilks, the two worst coaches in the history of professional football. The history of professional football. Okay? The history of the game. And they're still going to have jobs next year. Cardinals are garbage because of Wilks. I won't pick them again this year because they won't win a game this year. I digress. Eric, your takeaway.
You know, I'm really interested to see what Byron Leftwich is going to do with that offense. You know, I've always had high hopes for Leftwich. I always thought he could be a good quarterback in the league. So, you know, he's been talking up Bruce Arians a ton. You know, just be like, hey, you know, we work shoulder to shoulder. We talked all night. So I know he wants to utilize David Johnson as best as he can. With that being said, I mean, I won't be surprised if in 2 years, you know, the Cardinals' offense is kind of legit, but Wilks isn't the answer, that Byron Leftwich is the head coach there. That will not surprise me one bit. But, you know, they got a long way to go. There's a big hill to climb for them right now. So, you know, it is what it is for them.
Well, I mean, maybe. Maybe. But, you know, the bottom line is you still have to run his system. All right. Really quick, I'm going to do my Thursday night prediction since the game is just now getting kick-started. I really like Houston. I really like the way they're playing. I know that they've won 5 in a row, but I've told you guys all along I'm on Miami, and I think the Dolphins are going to win this game. I think they're going to run the ball well. I think they're going to play smart defense. Watson is beat up. He's not going to be his normal self. The Dolphins don't have anybody to cover DeAndre Hopkins, so I think that the answer is actually they do have somebody that can cover DeAndre Hopkins. His name is not a name, it's a position. It's called running back. And what I mean by that is the Dolphins are going to have to run the ball. They're going to have to keep that Texans defense off the field and hope that they can roll some double coverage over on him and that Watson doesn't burn him. I think that's going to happen. I could see the Dolphins winning this game 27-21, 27-24. It's going to be a good game all the way to the end. It's not that I'm a fan of Brock Osweiler. I'm a fan of Adam Gase, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. Go ahead.
All right. Well, Houston's at home. They want to take Brock Osweiler out of this game, and they do have somebody on defense who can cover DeAndre Hopkins, and his name is Xavier Howard. So right now, Will Fuller, because Kiki Cudi is out. Will Fuller has 44 yards receiving, and Hopkins only has 8. It's actually 14-7 Texans. Deshaun Watson has actually looked pretty good. The running game between Lamar Miller and Alfred Blue has really looked good. I see the Texans actually pulling away in the second half and winning 32-20.
Pretty good formula is to go against me. Last week I went 6-8. So after my 11-4 week, I haven't been doing much. I've had 3 losing weeks so far this season out of 7, and the 2 of the winning weeks that I've had, I was 8-7 or 8-7-1. So I'm pretty average this year.
Where do you want to start for Sunday?
Well, I think we should just start with the London game. There's not really a lot to say here. The Chargers. I'm only going to talk about one thing here, Eric, and I'll let you do the analysis on this game, and I'm going to put my coaching hat on. You do not go for 2 right there. I'm sorry. You've got all of the momentum. It's different if the game is slipping away and you scored a touchdown and you know if you give them the ball back, they're going to beat you in overtime. It's another thing altogether when you're looking at that going, we got control of this game. I would rather take my chances, not to mention that a tie in that situation doesn't hurt you, it helps you. I think it was a dumb move. I think it was overly aggressive, and I think it was a classic example of, once again, coaches in this league not understanding how to coach in this league. They really need to do me a favor. They all need to go put in some tape of the coaches in the 80s, from Joe Gibbs, Mike Ditka, Bill Parcells, Bill Walsh, John Robinson, the whole lot of them. Go back and watch how they managed games at the end. Do it that way, and you'll be fine. These guys it's no wonder Bill Belichick keeps winning football games, because he's a brilliant man surrounded by absolute idiots. So and not to mention, you're averaging about 300 yards a carry, which is more than the field actually consists of, and you throw the damn ball. So credit to the Chargers. They are sneaky good right now. And I want to say one other thing on this, Eric, and then I'll turn it over to you. You said the Chargers are thinking about getting the hell out of this LA deal. You think about the significance of this. They are what, 5-1? They're a 5-1, 6-1 football team, whatever the hell it is. 5-2. They're a 5-2 football team. They're one of the best teams in the AFC, and they still can't compete with the Rams. That should tell you everything you need to know about LA being Ram country. I digress. Go.
First half was all Chargers. Second half was pretty much all Titans, except for one big pass play to Mike Williams. Tennessee, they had a chance. They could have won it in overtime if they kicked the extra point, but they don't. They're like, we're going to go for 2 because I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. I don't know why. But when you do that, they try to get greedy. That's what you get.
Yep.
So the Titans are now 3-4. Chargers, as we mentioned, are 5-2. They squeaked out a victory. I don't agree with what Vrabel did. Rivers threw for 306 yards, 2 touchdowns. His first pass was a 75-yard touchdown to Tyrell Williams. So, they came out of the chute and they're like, hey, we're gonna come out and start throwing the ball. That's what they did. They didn't have Melvin Gordon in this game, so they relied majority on Rivers.
Yeah.
So now they got a bye week, and Melvin Gordon can rest his hamstring. But again, there's not much to say there. The Chargers, man, you're right. They're sneakily good, and if they can beat the Chiefs once this year, I give them a really good shot. I don't think it'll happen, but
well,
we'll see what the Chargers can do.
Let's jump into that one. The Chiefs. I just want to get this one over with. I don't know what else to say here but this. If you're a Bengals fan, and Eric, this is going to really surprise you, okay? It's going to really surprise you. I think the Bengals' best option at this point, when this season is over, is to either hope that Marvin Lewis retires or fire him, trade Andy Dalton for a first-round draft pick. I don't care who you trade him to. Trade him to somebody who's quarterback desperate. Maybe the Giants.
You want to blow up the Bengals?
Blow them up. The only player on that team that I would keep at this point, I hate to say it, is Joe Mixon.
Goodness, they're 4-3. They're a tie out of first place because the Steelers have a tie.
So let me explain why. You played the Pittsburgh Steelers, a team that you on paper are way better. Well, not on paper, but you are better than this year, and you couldn't perform. And the guys that you needed to step up didn't step up on either side of the ball. Okay? And I know Andy Dalton played great in the second half of that football game. It's the first half of that football game, and I'm a Dalton fan. You know how much I love Andy Dalton. He's one of my favorite players. But I just don't think it's going to happen in Cincinnati for him. And I look at this game against Kansas City. This is a team that you matched up well against offensively, and you couldn't put up but more than 10 points or whatever it was, 45-10. I mean, this was not a football team that had 35 points of separation from you. Yet, that's the result. And how many times have we seen the Bengals get hyped up, look like they're a good football team, take the field, and put that type of performance out? Too often. And I just don't think that this collection, and here's why I say trade Andy Dalton, A.J. Green, and the whole lot. It's not that they're not good players. It's the opposite. They need a change of scenery to really tap into the true talent that they have. And maybe that's Glazer as the new head coach. But I just think for Andy Dalton staying in Cincinnati and having that stigma, he needs to go somewhere like Kirk Cousins. Not necessarily where he's wanted, because he's wanted in Cincinnati, but maybe you trade him to Buffalo. That'd be funny. The Bengals have to start this thing over. They've gone almost a decade now of futility where they're good enough to get in, but they're not good enough to beat anybody once they're in. And there comes a point in time when you look at that and go, are we insane, or is there really a method here to win a championship? Because right now the Bengals are the very definition of insanity. They're doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. I know how good the Chiefs are, but the Chiefs, I'm sorry, I don't mean disrespect to KC Nation out there. I think the Chiefs are probably going to go to the Super Bowl, if not certainly replace the Jaguars in the AFC Championship game that I had originally predicted. But this is not a football team that is 35 points better than the Cincinnati Bengals. And at some point, their season's going to catch up to them. I just don't know when. No quarterback can play 16 weeks the way Mahomes is playing. He just can't. So there's going to come a down week.
Sure they can, but watch them do it again. Watch them do it.
Oh.
Tom Brady for 16 weeks when they went 16-0 was on fire every game.
No, he was not. Do you not remember one of the Dolphin games where they leaned on the running game and defense? I'm not saying he's not going to have 14, 13 weeks of this because Mahomes is every bit as good as advertised. I'm just saying you're not going to go, especially a second-year player. I'll tell you what, if he does, he's MVP. And anybody that tries to argue that is a friggin' joke. You agree with that at least?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, that's my take on this game. I think the Chiefs are good. They're damn good, and they proved it on Sunday night, whooping up on the Cincinnati Bengals. But I was more disappointed with the effort the Bengals put on the field. than I was impressed with the effort that the Chiefs were giving on a play-to-play basis. Your go.
The Chiefs are putting up video game numbers. I mean, let's be real. It's ridiculous what they're doing. Yeah. It's amazing what they're doing. And I have a friend who's a Chiefs fan, and he's just waiting for the inevitable Andy Reid moment where they lose a big game.
Yeah.
So that's really what I'm looking at. There's really nothing else to say except for, so far there's only been one team to beat the Chiefs, and they kick field goals against the Patriots, and everybody else is trying to play catch up because you give the Chiefs a one-score lead, and they make that one score into a four-score lead. It's ridiculous.
They do.
And they can do it on the ground. They can do it through the air. It doesn't matter who Mahomes is throwing to because he can escape the pocket. He can run. And he puts a lot of balls right in the guy's hand, right in the chest, right in the numbers. Like, I haven't seen a bad throw to where a guy had to reach behind him or above him or at shoe tops or whatever. And, he's pretty accurate with it. And it's weird to me because he came from a run and shoot offense at Texas Tech. And Texas Tech was never the school known to produce quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And Mahomes is reversing that right now.
No kidding. No kidding. Cleveland at Tampa Bay. I love how people are like, oh, did you see Baker Mayfield's face after that field goal? It's a meme. And I'm sitting there going, guys, I'm going to tell you something right now. If your life revolves that much around social media, that you're a professional broadcaster and the first thought out of your face is, oh, look at Baker's face, that's a meme. Quit. You should be fired. You are the dung on toilet paper after a dirty wipe. All right? I'm sorry, but you are. You have no value in this sport or in this profession at all. That is the face of disappointment. That is a face of what the heck do we have to do to buy a win around here? The first thought through your mind, if you're a true pro, is trying to capture the moment through the facial expression Baker Mayfield was showing. Not, that's a meme right there. What's the meme? You're a douchebag? Is that the meme? Because I first of all, in memes, guys, that trend died 5 years ago. Leave it dead. No one likes memes. And if you're out there and you're like, oh, I love memes, Anthony, you're wrong. Fine, I'm wrong. But I'm 39 years old. A little bit more important things in life than a damn meme. Not to mention, it has no relevance to the situation in which it just taken place. And I got to listen to that play-by-play or that announcer who's doing the highlights of that game. Take that aside. That's completely irrelevant. That was a mini rant. I've got another one coming in a minute. But the thing for me with this game that was really disappointing is that the Cleveland Browns defense had opportunities to make Jameis Winston look bad, and Jameis Winston tried to help. But then the Browns offense made him look good. You get a turnover in overtime, and you can't turn that into points. You can't even get in field goal range when you intercept it and you get the ball to the 40-yard line. Are you kidding me? Hugh Jackson is garbage. Here's a meme. Show Hugh Jackson's face and go, he has 3 more wins than me as head coach of the Cleveland Browns in 4 years. Put that meme up, please. I'm begging you. The guy is garbage. I'm watching this game, Eric. He's got Duke Johnson on the sideline. Again. The guy is a versatile threat out of the backfield who can catch the ball. Hugh, I'm going to give you some advice here. Put on some tape and watch some current NFL football games. Because 1891 called and they want their football back. And that's before football even existed. Not to mention, okay, and it's not even like 1891 where he's running the ball. It's like Bizarro World 1891, where he puts everybody out on these patterns, but the running back, leaving him in to block. You have Nick Chubb, you don't run the ball once when you're at the 40-yard line. You have 3 tries, essentially, to get 5 yards and try the long field goal with the new kicker. If you really wanted to go that route. Or you put in Duke Johnson, maybe he's injured. Eric, you know the injury report. Was he injured?
No.
So he was healthy. So you put him on the field, you throw him a flare, and you let him do his deal. I'm telling you guys right now, if you're a fan of a NFL team out there, next season, when free agency comes up, I hope Duke Johnson's a free agent. And if your team needs a running back, go get him. Go get him. Because you know what you're not going to need for the next 5 to 7 years? A running back. You're not going to need one. The dude is starter material right now. And I don't understand how Hugh Jackson's missing it. Not to mention you draft an all-world talent in Nick Chubb, and you can't even get that friggin' guy going against Tampa friggin' Bay in overtime? The Browns will continue to lose games as long as Hugh Jackson is donning anything Cleveland on the sideline. Your go.
We've been beating that dead horse for a while now regarding Hugh. So, like I said, Cleveland will take off once Hugh is no longer at the helm. But they're going to experience growing pains with Baker, just like Buffalo went through with Allen, and just like the Jets are going through with Darnold, and just like the Cardinals have already bottomed out with Rosen. So, you know, me personally, I was hoping the Browns were actually going to tie the second time. They've played 4 overtime games in 7 games. That's ridiculous. Yeah. Now, they got to go to Pittsburgh and face a rested Steelers team. What do you think is going to happen there? It ain't going to be close.
No.
You know, the Browns' defense is actually one of the top 10 ranked defenses. They get a lot of turnovers. They get quite a bit of sacks, too. But there comes a time where you play a lot of football, you're going to be tired. You're playing essentially 40 extra minutes that they have played. So 2/3 of a game.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost 2/3 or almost 3/4 of another game without actually playing those games because they played 7. But you know the Bucs won the game, 59-yard field goal by Catanzaro. You know, not really much to say about the Buccaneers. I mean, Jameis Winston's the quarterback, so you know it's not like they're going to be winning the Super Bowl anytime soon.
Well, and I also want to make one thing clear. I'm not saying blow the Bengals up now either to go back to the Bengals. I'm saying blow it up at the end of the year once the season's over. But anyway, yeah, there's not much to say about Tampa Bay. We'll see if Winston can keep the trend going, and then maybe we'll talk about Tampa Bay. Carolina at Philly. Guys, look, that Philadelphia Eagle train has left the station, and they ain't on it. It's an empty train at this point. You have all the pressure in the world on you because you're the defending NFL champions, and you just lost a 17-0 lead at home to Philadelphia, and your schedule doesn't get easier coming down the pike. I'm not even looking at next week when you play Jacksonville and London. I'm talking about you still have games against Dallas, who just got Amari Cooper. You have games against Washington, which is, I remind people that Washington swept Philly Carson Wentz's rookie season, then got swept by Philly last year. I'll be curious to see what happens this year. The Giants you shouldn't have a problem with, but you've got the Rams coming down the pike. This schedule does not get easier. So Philly to lose this game, it was massive. And for Carolina to win this game, it was equally massive. Not just for wild card positioning, but for sending a message to New Orleans that they're coming. I was impressed all the way around. Cam looked great. Defense looked great. Philly looked great. Carolina just beat them. Your take.
21 fourth points the Panthers put up. Damn. In Philadelphia. Damn. And that's after Zach Ertz had 138 yards receiving. Damn. Again. And again. But what did I say when I previewed this team? Who did I say was going to be the leading rusher on Carolina? That's right. Called it. Cam Newton. He had 49 yards rushing. Nobody wanted to run in this game. Cam took it, tucked it when he had to, and he got the yards. McCaffrey was more of a receiver in this game. And Wentz, for 3 quarters, was actually really good. 310 yards, 2 touchdowns. They just fell apart in the fourth quarter like a house of cards. Yeah. And, the Eagles are starting to scramble a little bit. I don't think it's time to hit the panic button just yet, but they're starting to scramble. They actually took a shot at trying to acquire Amari Cooper to help out the offense. I don't think the offense is the problem.
No.
It's that defense.
Yeah.
It's that defense. So, the Eagles just have to right the ship. But, it's never easy going over to London because, defenses don't show up until the second half. Guys, time clocks are all off. It doesn't matter if you've been there 2-3 days already. But there's something different about playing there than it is, playing in your own home stadium or on the road. I mean, that's a true road game for both teams. So I don't know. Just keep an eye out on the Eagles and see what they can do. I expect them to win against Jacksonville. They're really struggling. I'll get to their game coming up here, but just keep an eye on them. They're going to be a team to watch. Hey, if they miss the playoffs, former champion, past champion, last year's champ, not going to make it, and it's going to be really interesting. Obviously, they're not going to do anything about Doug Peterson, but I wouldn't be surprised if there are some other changes there.
Well, it may just be that they reevaluate how they approach this season after being the hunted. And, I mean, I wouldn't make changes after one season. You won a Super Bowl with everyone. I mean, look, I was listening to Good Morning Football, and they do such a good job. Any criticism I have on the media does not apply to Good Morning Football on average, unless I point them out specifically, which is rare. And they talked about the loss of Frank Reich and their D coordinator. That matters. That hurts. Make no mistake about it. The Rams are not the same team without Wade Phillips. So, coordinators are important. They're an intricate part of the football team. They're the communication piece between player and head coach. And in many cases, some of the players, they don't even talk to the head coach. Their only form of communication is with their respective coordinator. So, and that's by their choice. So, usually they have pretty tight relationships, and when that situation gets upset, it hurts, and we're seeing that it hurts. So, and I'm not talking Zach Ertz. Hurts. Getting to Minnesota, the Jets. Eric, I want you to tip your cap here. You take a bow because you damn near called the score, and you certainly called this game as a second-half runaway by the Minnesota Vikings. The Jets made a gallant effort, but the Vikings dominated from whistle to whistle, and I don't know why anyone would say the following statement. Is Adam Thielen the best wide receiver in football? No. Your statement should be, Adam Thielen is the best wide receiver in football. Period. That's it. There's no question. OBJ is not as good. I said it. That's right. And I'll say it again. OBJ, Antonio Brown, they're not as good as Thielen right now. Right now, he's the best wide receiver in football. Now, he might not measure up talent-wise, but ain't nobody measure up stat-wise. And I give Kirk Cousins all the credit in the world here. The guy comes in, new offense, new players to get acclimated with, entirely new system, whole new train of thought, all the pressure in the world, and he's lighting it up like Christmas in the city. I tell you somebody else that could give Mahomes a run for the NFL MVP, and it's Kirk Cousins and Adam Thielen. And they're on the same team. And oh, by the way, Latavius Murray, I told you when he was in Oakland, and I'm telling you now that he's in Minnesota. The dude's real. He's a legit running back in this league. He's every bit worthy of being a starter. The guy needs to be, people need to stop questioning whether or not he's a good back. If you don't believe that Latavius Murray can do it every week, then you're a damn idiot. Vikings look good in this game.
Yeah, on the flip side of the ball, the Jets, it was close at halftime. It was only a 10-7 game at halftime, but 3 and outs, turnovers, just guys dropping passes on the Jets. Jermaine Kearse, 2 targets, no catches. It's unheard of for a guy who, just had 9 catches the week before. And the Jets wide receiving core is getting really thin because Robbie Anderson, he's got an injury after this game that they weren't looking at or weren't expecting. And then Bilal Powell is now out for the year. He went on IR because he had neck surgery. He had the same surgery that Quincy Enunwa had. Must be because Enunwa, he's out. He's got that high ankle sprain. So, Darnold is struggling to find who to throw to. So, the Vikings are taking advantage of mistakes, and that's what they did. They ended up scoring 27 second half points. Just Darnold couldn't get anything going in the second half. Thielen 110 yards. That's 7 straight weeks with 100 yards receiving. That's ridiculous. It's unheard of because he's the only one to ever do it. And the funny thing is, you look at preseason, and obviously you're not going to put a lot of stock in the preseason, but every pass went to Stephon Diggs. They're like, oh, will Thielen be able to keep it up again? Diggs is blown up in the preseason.
Yeah.
Diggs who now? Diggs who? Yeah, Murray had a good game, 69-yard rush and 2 touchdowns. The Vikings, they're going to need Cousins to keep doing what he's doing because the Vikings defense is still vulnerable.
But that's my point. That's my point. Look, you guys all know by now my second favorite team's the Redskins. I've been following Kirk Cousins since his rookie year. The last 3 seasons, this year included being the 4th, this is what Kirk Cousins does. It's not that he needs to keep doing what he's doing this year. Kirk Cousins just needs to keep playing like Kirk Cousins has the last 4 years. As long as he does that, they're going to score these kinds of points.
Yeah, the Vikings got a big win when they needed it.
Yeah, to be sure. Detroit at Minnesota, talking about not getting a big win when you needed it.
You mean Detroit at Miami?
Yeah, what'd I say? Minnesota? At Miami.
Yeah.
Guys, I told you, I'm impressed. I'm really impressed. And I was one of those people that said, a Patriot assistant, they won't pan out. I've been really impressed with Matt Patricia. He is tapped into his inner Wayne Fontes. He has found a running game in Detroit that hasn't existed since the days of Barry Sanders. And with that quarterback, and if they can play moderate to okay defense, well, the Lions may not scare you in 2019 or 2018, but they better scare the piss out of you in 2019. I like what this team is doing. I was disappointed with Miami, to be sure. I felt like they let a golden opportunity slip right through their fingers. But make no mistake about it, Detroit went out and took this game. That back, Johnson, is awesome. So I give all the credit in the world to Detroit in this one. But I also want to put some blame here on Miami in the sense that you cannot have the one dimension that you're taking away beat you. And it did. If you're going to let the running game torch you, then you can't let Stafford get going. And they let him get going a couple of times, and it cost them. Now, I'm going to say something else here. Adam Gase, I like him. And I think the Dolphins would be stupid to let him go. If I'm Miami, and I hear all this chatter in the locker room with these players, as an owner, I go in and I tell the players, You have two choices. Suck it up, Buttercup, and get playing football, or get shipping out because you're gone. Those are your two options. Because if I have to choose between you or Adam Gase, you're gone. My choice has been made. It's Adam Gase. Shape up or ship out. That's it. Quit your belly aching, quit your crying. And then I would tell what's-his-name's agent, put a muzzle on him. Don't tell me he's not, tell me that he's perfectly healthy when I'm watching him limp around on the damn sideline in the third quarter of the Lion game. Don't tell me he's perfectly healthy because you're full of crap. And a wide receiver with a limp is like a quadriplegic playing fullback. It doesn't exactly work out well for the team with the player. Your turn.
I had talked to Anthony while this game was in the beginning stages, and I had told him I should have went with my gut and taken Detroit. As soon as the game started, I was like, you know what? I should have taken Detroit. I went against my gut. Hey, all the credit to Kerryon Johnson, man. 2 100-yard games this season, and he's a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Lions went so long without a 100-yard rusher. Now they got 2 in one season.
Yep.
So I just thought of something that I agree with you with, that I'm going to add on to. And I agree with you that, you know, they shouldn't do anything about Gase. They should let him play or let him coach. But if I were the Dolphins, I'd be getting 2 new quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Tannehill is not the answer. And I will tell you to watch out for one name only, for the next quarterback of the Miami Dolphins. Derek Carr.
Ooh.
There's chatter.
Really?
There's chatter that the Raiders wanted to trade him, or want to trade him. But they can easily get out of his 5 years left on his deal with a very small cap hit. Don't think the Raiders already know that, because they do. And I wouldn't be surprised if they let him walk. Now, I think it would be ridiculous and atrocious and every other word you could throw at the Raiders regarding that if they let Derek Carr go.
Sounds like a Raider move, though.
It sounds like a Raider move, but the problem with that is I don't care how many draft picks you need. You need a 1 or 2 big names when you move to Vegas, or else you're not even going to have anywhere close to a fan base. Because I'm sorry, but Oakland fans won't travel to Vegas.
Well, they might.
That much.
Yeah.
You know, once a year, twice a year maybe, but yeah. You can't rely on people from Oakland coming to watch you in Vegas. You just can't. You got to build your fan base. You need a big name for when you move. So,
yeah.
Like, let's say Marshawn Lynch was a couple years younger and he stayed. There's your big name. You wanted Derek Carr. You wanted a Khalil Mack. You wanted somebody that you could market around that city. Right now, if they get the Carr, they've got nobody.
Yeah.
So watch out for Derek Carr getting cut in the offseason and signing with Miami. I'm telling you, I can see it now.
I might just go into my Madden game and do that, actually.
The Detroit Lions, they got a big win on the road. And, you know, Patricia's got them playing really well. I'm interested to see how their next game goes.
Seattle in Detroit. That's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm actually going to watch that game. That's crazy to think about. All right, I'm going to toot my own horn here for a minute. I predicted the score to this game. I just didn't predict the right team. I've never seen a Hail Mary get completed and not work for a touchdown until this week. Should the Bears have been in that position? No. 2 special teams touchdowns, which I consider gifts. Bears win that game 31-24. They don't lose the game 38-31 if you take those 2 touchdowns away. This one hurts. It hurts. And I don't know, as a coach, When you look at your team, and I love what Trubisky said. Can I just say this right now, Eric? I'm going to let you do a lot of the detail on this, but I want to put 2 cents in here. I love that Trubisky is taking this hard, and that Trubisky's like, this isn't good enough. But we didn't prepare all week, essentially, I'm paraphrasing, to lose by 7 points at home to New England. We prepared to win the game, and that should be the expectation. I agree with him. So, look, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I couldn't be higher on Chicago than I am right now. I think the Bears are going to have an easy walk-away win against the Jets next week. I think that this football team, there were so many things that I looked for in this game that I found. Good coverage, on the in routes. Out routes are tougher to cover. In routes, because you're playing the sideline to your favor, but I'm not going to get into the details of that. They did a good job on the ends, and they stuck to those. There wasn't a lot of long, broken tackle, long touchdown plays for the Patriots in this game. Gronkowski was non-existent because he was injured and didn't play. But that being said, I wish they had given a little more attention to the outside receivers than they did. Tom Brady still showed me that he cannot throw the ball deep. And, they stuffed the run really well against a team that's been running the ball really well. So there were positives in this game that I think if you're a Bear fan, you could take away and go, we should be a playoff team, especially with Philadelphia struggling, especially with Seattle falling off the wagon. We have an opportunity here. The NFC East, the winner of that division is going to be the only playoff team. The only playoff team coming out of the West is going to be the division winner. So you look at the South and you go, well, there may be 2 teams that come out of that. Maybe. Carolina and New Orleans looks like they're going to be it. So you look at your division and go, you know what? We don't need to win the division. We just need to be second. And I think the Bears are good enough to do that. Time will tell, but that's my 2 cents. Take it away.
So I'm going to disagree with you completely on one point. Tom Brady doesn't need to throw deep. Tom Brady saw that you can beat the Bears with short passes, with slants, and seam passes down the middle, and even screen passes to the running back, because it worked against Miami, how Miami was able to beat the Bears, and the Patriots just looked at that and said, we can do that too. It's easy for us. Now, the Patriots came out, they started running the ball hard with Sony Michel. And, Michel ended up getting a knee injury going out for the rest of the game. And I was like, oh no, because James White's going to take over. And sure enough, James White takes over. Gordon has 100 yards receiving on 4 catches. James White this, James White that. Oh, man, that's... The Bears have the toughest problems with running backs who catch out of the backfield. Just remember that for December 8th.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you. Or December 9th, I should say. So just keep that in the back of your mind.
Okay.
There were a lot of Bears fans who actually thought the Bears were going to win this game. And I was not one of them. I did not, go in saying, the Bears, there's no way they can lose. I just thought that if the Bears could keep it close and pull out a win, that's the victory right there. I knew it was going to happen. I knew exactly what was going to happen, especially when your quarterback misfires 24 times, has 2 bad picks, should have had 2 more. Man, does he ever make up for it with his legs? He had an 8-yard touchdown run that he ended up running 71.9 yards.
Unbelievable.
And it's like, what the hell am I watching Michael Vick? Am I watching Steve Young? Who else am I watching? Randall Cunningham?
Dude,
it was ridiculous.
I told you, they tapped into his inner Douglas.
Yeah, they said that on the broadcast. You called me telling me that same thing too. Listen, for the longest time in this game before the fourth quarter, Trubisky had only completed 2 passes to a wide receiver. Everything was to Tariq Cohen, Jordan Howard, and Trey Burton. Trey Burton had 9 catches for 126 yards and a touchdown. He was the second leading receiver all week.
Wow.
As far as receivers go. And he was 12 yards behind Zach Ertz. That's how much that they passed around, except until Monday night when Sterling Shepard went for 167. But for Thursday through Sunday night, Burton was the second leading receiver.
Yeah.
But the Hail Mary, holy cow! I mean, if that goes in, and Kevin White, kudos to you, hat tip to you um, for
catching it.
Coming down with that ball and knowing which way to turn right away. Because if he turned right, he would have been, he would have just been. He might have been in the ground 6 feet under if he would have turned right, but he turned left. And he had just the slightest opening; he just couldn't get in.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think better times are ahead for Bears. Two winnable games coming up. Home against the Jets and then at Buffalo. Until they start getting into divisional play, but Trubisky's got to hit those throws to wide open receivers. He misfired throwing to Anthony Miller countless times. Kind of on a post route that would have went for a touchdown. Had Gabriel down the sideline. He just misfired. He was looking bad. At one time, he was 10 for 24, and it was like he only was keeping the Bears in the game with his legs. That's how much it was. And then Brady would come in, cool as a cucumber. He'd survey the defense. He'd be like, all right, let's march down the field. And they marched down the field. But yeah, the two special teams touchdown throws don't care for that.
Yeah. So I opened the garage. It was getting a little stuffy in here. So you might hear a dog barking. I'm sorry. At any rate, Buffalo at Indy. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. As Amazing Lucas on YouTube likes to say. Frank Reich needed a win like this. He's deserved a win like this. I don't think it could have been clearer that they were trying to win one for Frank Reich against his former team. They absolutely stomped the dog crap right out of Buffalo. Andrew Luck looked great. Mac ran the ball well. The Colts defense looked really good. Look, I know what you're going to say, and you're right, that this was more about the ineptness of the Buffalo Bills and the impressive play of the Indianapolis Colts. But as I once told my players, it doesn't matter how the other team plays if you don't do what you're supposed to do once it happens. And in this case, Buffalo wet the bed, and the Colts were there. I don't know how you benefit from that, but they were there to benefit from that mistake.
They washed the sheets.
They washed the sheets. There you go. That sounds more like a tedious job than a thing. I don't think that's right at all at this point. Look, the Bills served up a beautiful platter, and the Colts were all too obliged to eat it. There you go. That's a better analogy. The bottom line is the Colts did what they were supposed to do when those opportunities came, but you still have to do it, and they did it. And I've seen a lot of teams in my lifetime being a Ram fan. I can't tell you how many times I watched the Rams get served a golden victory on a platter. Pittsburgh in 2015, to mention one, gave us the friggin' game, and we still couldn't win. We found a way to lose in the end. So credit to the Colts. They dominated 37-5.
So I predicted this game would have been 35-3. Yeah. So close but no cigar, I guess.
Yeah.
The Colts put up 37 points. Anthony, how many yards do you think Andrew Luck had?
200?
Let's just say he had less than Derek Anderson.
Really?
Derek Anderson had 175 yards passing.
Oh my God.
Andrew Luck had 156.
Wow.
But that's what happens. That's what happens when you get turnovers and you're close to the touchdown. You get them in the red zone. You throw two really short touchdown passes, and I mean short, like 5 yards and less to T.Y. Hilton. He had 4 touchdown passes. Derek Anderson had 3 interceptions. So there's a little bit of a difference right there.
Yeah.
Okay? Turnovers to no turnovers. But you know what? They really didn't need Luck. Luck had the 4 touchdowns, yes. Okay? He did what he had to do. He took the throws that were easy for him. He only misfired 6 times, 17 for 23.
So it reminds me.
Hold on.
Okay.
You give Marlon Mack 19 carries, yeah, he just turns that into 126 yards of a touchdown, and then he has 33 more yards in the touchdown through the air as well. So it wasn't the Andrew Luck show. It was the Marlon Mack and the Indianapolis defense show.
So I coached a game one year at the freshman level. Um, our starting quarterback had 7 completions in 10 attempts for 70 yards and 7 touchdowns. It's kind of like that, right?
Kind of, yeah.
That's crazy. All right, Houston at Jacksonville. Not a lot really to say about this game. This was a must-win for Jacksonville. Houston kind of needed this one as well, just because it was a division game and they'd already had one struggle. Or you don't want. I should say that you don't want to struggle this early in the season with division games when you're playing on the first half of the year, because the second half is when the rubber meets the road, and you got to have that buff, and they got it. They played so poorly that they benched their starting quarterback. Look, guys, I'm telling you right now, nothing says chaos better than when you bench your starting quarterback, during a losing streak. I don't know what Blake Bortles' issue is this year. Maybe it's the lack of Fournette. Maybe it's the lack of having reliable wide receivers. But, I look at the Jaguar problems and I go, is this really on Bortles? He doesn't have receivers that can catch. He doesn't have a line that can block. He doesn't have a running game to speak of. Blake Bortles is not a guy that's going to win you. He's not a Drew Brees. He's not a Tom Brady. That's not how he's been made. That's not his MO.
Bortles has done a lot, though. He has statistically been a lot better when Fournette's been out of the lineup. Now, they're more balanced when Fournette's in the lineup. And just he keeps turning the ball over.
Yeah. But he's turning the ball over, Eric, because of pressure. That's why he's turning the ball over. I mean, I credit Houston. Yeah. They put the pressure on. They forced those turnovers. They got those turnovers. And Deshaun Watson did exactly what he needed to do, and the Texans played a complete game. They deserved to win that game.
Deshaun only had 139 yards passing in this game, so they really relied more on their defense and the running game because Lamar Miller had 100 yards.
Look up their third down. Look up their third down conversions, though. That's what I'm looking at a quarterback. I don't care how many yards you throw for. What is your third down conversion rate as a quarterback? And I think his was 66%. So that's what I'm looking at. I don't care if you throw for 500 yards. If you throw for 500 yards, but you're 10% on third downs, it doesn't help. I don't know how that'd be physically possible.
You get a lot of those yards on first and second down.
Right, and then you don't need third down, right? So.
Yeah, right, exactly. So tough loss for Jacksonville at home. Now they get to go travel to their second home, London. So they're in a tough spot right now. That was a big win for the Texans. They've gone from 0-3 to 4-3, and they're playing the Dolphins Thursday night. So
what's the score?
If they can beat the Dolphins at home, it's 14-10 Texans at the beginning of the third quarter.
Interesting. I said 27-24. All right.
Yeah.
Giants at Falcons Monday night. Look, I'm normally a fan of low. Hold
on. Saints Ravens first.
No, I want to do that one next.
All right, fine.
I don't really care about this game. This is my take on this one. I watched this game. I normally like low-scoring defensive games. This was blah. This was blah the whole time. And then, oh my goodness. Eric, you text me at the end of the game and said that Pat Shurmur should be walking home from Atlanta. He should be fired right now.
Darn right he should. Absolutely. I mean, you're down 14. Okay, you're down 2 scores. So they go for 2. They don't get the 6 points. They ended up getting the 8 points later. But what if? Okay, I've heard all these it's the analytics say you should go for 2 and it's good because then you go for 2, then you score again. Well, first you got to get the ball back. Okay. Then what happens if you don't get the 2-point conversion and 8 points needs to tie, but you don't get that second 2-point conversion? All you need to do is keep the extra point.
Yes. There is not a metrics out there. I'm sorry, there isn't. Not by anybody with a brain cell still functioning. Okay? That tells you go for 2 first. You make it an 8-point game and then go for 2. You don't get the 2 first and then try for the extra point later. I'm not making excuses. The only thing I could think of is maybe Shurmur saw all those missed extra points and panicked. If he did, he should be fired and he should be walking home from Atlanta. There's no reason to go for 2 there. None. But I'm less angry about that than I am the end of the game.
Oh, my goodness.
Why are you not in Eli Manning's ear? He has a helmet on. There's a communicative piece in the ear. How are you not in that man's ear saying, spike the ball? Spike the ball. That's all you got to do. Spike it. He goes for a quarterback sneak not once, but twice. And then run Saquon Barkley. Dude, I'm telling you, that was, again, it goes right back to what I said about Steve Wilks to start the show, right? You cannot tell me these coaches are good. You can't tell me they somehow know more than me because they have professional head football coach Pat Shurmur next to it, or, professional head football coach next to his name. I'm sorry. He is there due to circumstances and opportunity that I didn't have. That is all. Nobody looks at a college football team or a pro football team and goes, that coach is a superstar. They look at the coach's players and say, those are superstars. We want to draft them. So you got to know the right people and have the right connections. Because I'm sorry, I can give you 15 names right now at the high school level that I've worked with over the years that can do a better job of coaching in that situation than Pat Shurmur and Steve Wilks has ever done in his entire existence in life as a coach. Okay? Period. So, I like Shurmur as a coordinator. I've got questions for him as a head coach right now. This goes back, it's not like Tom Coughlin, all right? Tom Coughlin, I don't know what the hell he was thinking his last year in coaching when he had all of those end-of-game screw-ups as a coach. I don't know if he had just tanked it, cashed it in, and didn't want anything to do with coaching anymore and was already burnt out, or if he just lost his damn mind. But Shurmur, we have no body of work here. So is this the product that we have? Begs the question in New York. And then you trade Snacks and Eli Apple.
And Damon Harrison.
I said Snacks. They traded Snacks.
Oh, yeah, Snacks. Okay.
Why? I understand you're 1-6. I get it.
Well, I heard this argument that says that they made a mistake in drafting Saquon Barkley.
How? He's your best player.
They could have had one of those quarterbacks. Listen, they're already talking about the quarterback class for next year. Drew Lock, you trust him? Do you even know what school he plays for? No, I don't trust him. I know what school he plays for, but I don't trust him. Justin Herbert from Oregon, most likely going back to school for a senior year. That's one heck of a quarterback going back to school. There's also Jake Browning, Washington. I mean,
Eric,
if you really think it's a top 5 pick, go right ahead.
Can I give you 2 names, actually? I'm sorry, 3 names that I think that are currently in the NFL right now that I think
they're going to draft.
No, I know they're going to draft. I'm not disagreeing with you there. But I can give you, I'm trying to find the third one. I can at least give you 2 right now, and unfortunately they're both on the same team, which is weird. It's not normally how that works. It's not Jacksonville.
Foles?
No. I mean, yeah, Foles, you could throw that in there. Look, if I'm the Giants, I don't think the mistake was drafting Saquon Barkley. I think the mistake was not getting a guy and letting Eli walk away. I can tell you right now, I like Kevin Hogan from Stanford, who was with Cleveland for a while. I think he's in Washington now. I like Colt McCoy. I've liked Colt McCoy since his rookie year. I would have drafted him. I would have drafted Ndamukong Suh 1, and with my first pick of the second round, I would have drafted Colt McCoy. And I genuinely believe you can win with those two guys, with the talent that the Giants have, and I'm including Saquon Barkley in that conversation. You can hand the ball to.
Let me really quickly. Kevin Hogan is actually the number 2 quarterback in Denver because Chad Kelly decided to try to, break into somebody's house, broke into somebody's house.
Yeah. Well, can I talk about that situation?
Yeah. He's been released.
See, I don't think they should have done that. Look, here's what happened, I think. Okay?
No, finish up with the Giants.
Okay. Look, and then I want to get to Kelly in a minute because I think that's an unfortunate situation, and I do believe in second chances. And I'll get to why that is in a minute. But you could have gotten Saquon Barkley and then picked up a guy like Kevin Hogan, picked up a guy like Colt McCoy or Nick Foles, and really had a solid team that you can win with right now. And then go get your quarterback next year. Well, they're not going to – Anthony, under your logic, they wouldn't be able to draft him because they'd be too high in the draft. You could trade down. You could trade a Sterling Shepard. That's a piece you can afford to get rid of, right? Because you could find receivers in this league. Unless your name is the Dallas Cowboys. You could find receivers. You trade that tradable commodity, make sure he has a really good year, and go get yourself a higher pick. Maybe you trade this year's one that you got in the trade, and you trade next year's one to move up to get the guy you want. I mean, if you really believe in the guy, no price is too big, right? The Rams proved that. Getting to Kelly, briefly, I'll be quick. Here's the story. He's at a party with Von Miller. He got drunk. And I think what happened was he decided to walk home because it sounded like it was in a community where they kind of lived. And he stumbled into someone's home and was speaking incoherently. Broke into their home thinking I think he thought it was his home. And then was speaking incoherently, and then they ended up calling the cops. I think there should have been more an investigation. I might be wrong. Maybe it was a straight break-in and he was being violent, whatever. I don't know. But from everything I heard from the story, it didn't sound aggressive or violent. It sounded like a case of a drunken stupor in a mistaken situation. And I'm sorry, but, you beat your girlfriend and you throw her on a bed of AK-47s and you get a contract with the Dallas Cowboys the next year while Ray Rice had just gotten kicked out of the league for good for decking a girl in the face in an elevator. I would think you might be a little more lenient on something as simple as a non-violent, mistaken crime. And certainly let the investigation take place. I would love to see somebody pick him up. How funny would it be if Buffalo did?
Jeff Legwold, ESPN senior writer. Broncos linebacker Von Miller called the team's Halloween party earlier this week a private and state gathering that was separate from the arrest of former backup quarterback Chad Kelly. Kelly attended the party and later was arrested on suspicion of first-degree criminal trespass in the early morning hours of Tuesday. He was then waived on Wednesday morning. The party, pictures of which were posted on several players' media accounts this week, had become a hot-button issue in recent days. Miller organized the party, which had been an annual affair for players. He said that there were Broncos security staff on site and additional security personnel that Miller hired for the event. He said, and I quote, "It was a private event. It was safe. I had team security there. I had my own private security there. Just all of Denver sports. It was a private event. It was a Halloween party. It was a safe event." So completely different from what happened with Chad Kelly. Maybe, drank a little bit too much or whatnot, but
I think that's what happened.
Security there.
I think that's what happened. I think he drank too much. I think he stumbled out. They thought he was going to go home, maybe with security or maybe with his driver, whatever. And he continued to stumble. Look, you cannot tell me in that neighborhood that those aren't all private property. And when you trespass on somebody who makes $1 million a year or lives in $1 million home, it's gonna be criminal trespassing. It just is. So
funny thing for me is Chad Kelly was most likely about to get his chance.
I know, it's a shame
at quarterback, and because the Broncos are going to be looking past Case Keenum towards next year.
Not now.
Not anytime soon now. But yeah, that was unfortunate. If Kelly does get picked up again, I'll be surprised just because they know his off-field issues.
Yeah, well, that's it. You make a great point. It's not like he hasn't had off-field issues in the past.
Right, and they stemmed from Ole Miss.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, you're probably right then. It is unfortunate. All right, New Orleans at Baltimore. I know you're excited to talk about this game, E. I'm going to let you take this one away. I thought Baltimore played great, but the Saints are for real. They're a good football team. Go.
Yeah, the Saints are 5-1. Their only loss, obviously, was Week 1 against Tampa Bay at home. And the Saints got lucky in this game because after 245 consecutive made extra points regular season and postseason, Justin Tucker finally missed one. And seriously, this ball looked like it had an electric motor on it. Somebody pushed the right button of the joystick. Because it started out and then it just took a 90-degree right turn. It was like, where did that go? And the look on his face was priceless.
Yeah, it was.
And I heard the word name for that look too. I was like, come on, not everything is, a meme. I mean, we could have went back and done this back in the 40s,
yeah,
or whatever year you want to pick out, after the Redskins got throttled 73-0. I'm sure you could go down that bench and have the whole meme for the team.
Yeah.
Anyways, but no, the Saints did something that's pretty much unheard of, and that was on their opening drive. They went for four. They tried for a first down on 4 fourth downs. And they got their first 3, and the fourth down try was around the goal line, and they came away with no points. So it's going forward 4 times on 4th down in the first quarter on your opening drive. Sean Payton's got some massive huevos, and
yeah, he does.
You don't see that much. Just tip your cap. But luckily, it didn't come back to hurt them because what they did was they pinned the Ravens deep. They ended up scoring when the Ravens punted. Yeah. But all in all, it was a very interesting back and forth game. The Saints never quit. Kamara looked pretty good coming off his semi-knee injury he might have had that they said he had against Washington. Man, John Brown, come back to life and have yourself a game, young man. Yeah. 134 yards and a touchdown. Yeah. Crazy. Flacco played well again. There was only one bad play, and that was the extra point. Came back to hurt the Ravens. Yep. Sucks, but the Ravens are still in the thick of it in the AFC North. The Saints are leading the NFC South. So, these teams are not going anywhere. They have obviously big games coming up, especially in their division. Saints Rams in a couple weeks. Baltimore. They have another tough game. They're at Carolina. Dude, so, and New Orleans has their arch nemesis. They have the one team they can't beat, minus the NFC Championship game in 2009 or whatever it was. They beat Minnesota on Sunday night. I'm picking Minnesota. The division, the rival is so lopsided. There's no way I can't. But time will tell, obviously, and they beat him even last year twice. So, okay, Dallas at Washington was interesting. Okay, this game was fascinating to me on 2 fronts. One, I was watching the broadcast and they were saying how this reminded them, it was awfully eerily similar to the 92 game where the Redskins won by the score 20-17, and they went up 20-10, much the same way the Redskins did in this game. And I remember thinking, after all that was going on, and then the Redskins kicked off, and during the commercial, and the Giants getting the ball, or the Cowboys getting the ball, I started thinking about that Redskin team from 92. Now, obviously, they were coming off of a Super Bowl championship, so there's a difference there.
But fundamentally speaking, the way the Redskins won that year and the way their defense performed through the course of the year, it really is the exact same team, some 26 years later. It's, or whatever it is, 20, yeah. It's fascinating to me. The Redskins, look, this is a big weekend, okay? Redskin Cowboy weekend it's bigger than Michigan, Ohio State. It's bigger than the Iron Bowl. You name it, it's bigger than that college rivalry. This is next to Chicago and Green Bay and Rams and San Francisco, and I really do believe that. I really do believe Dallas, Washington, Bears, Green Bay, Rams, 49ers are the three best rivalries in professional football. Now, there are others that are great to watch. Pittsburgh, Baltimore, you could put in the top 5, to be sure. Raiders, Chiefs, you can put in the top 5. But this game told me a lot, but it also told me nothing. And what I mean by that is, it's a great win for Washington. They finally beat Dallas. They needed to win that game to make me believe this year could be different. But I'm still not sure. So I need to see Washington beat the Giants next week. I need to see the Redskins win at home against Atlanta in Week 9. I need to see this team 6-2 before I'm going to really believe that this is a different year. Because the Redskins very easily could lose next week against the Giants, lose next week against Atlanta, and be a 500 ball club. We've seen it. So they usually don't win the games they're supposed to win, and they remarkably win the games they're not supposed to. That's been the Jay Gruden era. You went through the numbers last week, Eric. Win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. 500 football his whole career as a coach in Washington. So I'm not sure that this is different yet. But man, it feels good to beat Dallas. And now that Dallas has Amari Cooper, that rematch on Thanksgiving Day is going to be one hell of a game to watch, because we'll see what the Redskins are really made of when they got an actual wide receiver on the outside they got to account for. Although Amari Cooper hasn't really impressed the last 2 years. And I would say he hasn't really impressed his whole career. He's been a relative disappointment. Would you agree?
In regards to Cooper, yeah, he hasn't really done much. I think a change of scenery is going to do him good, though. I think he's going to give the Cowboys offense actually another dimension, actually. Something that Des Bryant couldn't do. Because I think they have to make a decent wide receiving corps in Dallas. Cooper, Gallup, Beasley, play Rowan Austin, who cares? Sure, why not? I mean, it's going to take a lot of pressure off Zeke. But I want to ask you this question about the game. That's the only really analysis that I have.
Okay.
The field goal trying to end the game 52 yards, was that a penalty?
Oh, man, that was crazy.
On the long snapper?
Yeah, do you want me to give you the letter of the law definition? I mean, under the letter of the law, yes, he's moving the ball around after he's supposed to be set. That is a penalty. Should it have been called? Is it really a penalty as far as how that's been reffed over the years? No.
I really didn't see anything.
Yeah, I mean...
Maybe I was looking at the wrong thing.
No. Look, he's moving the ball around, they're set. There's no question he's moving the ball around. You can clearly see that. I'm sure even you did. But not enough, I think, to warrant that call. And I certainly didn't think he was doing it to draw them off sides. I was shocked at the call. And I was laughing when it went and hit the post. And I'm like, if that was 5 yards closer, the Cowboys are going to win the game. I'm sorry, I chuckled. As a Redskin fan, it was a great victory. But yeah, I can't sit here and tell you that I thought it was a penalty as it's been reffed. But if you go and actually look at how the rule is written, and then yes, in theory you could call it, but it's like holding, right? You can call holding on every single play. It doesn't mean you should. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it's just amazing to me. I mean, kudos to the Redskins for pulling out a victory, but
they shouldn't have. Is what
no.
Yeah. All right. The Rams and 49ers. Let me just start by saying this. 3 straight road games is not easy to do. 2 of those 3 road games being in the division, one of those road games being against an opponent that you're not real familiar with. It was a challenging road trip, to be sure. But they were better than each of those teams, and they beat each of those teams. Now, I want to tell you guys from a personal standpoint that I took a little bit extra joy in this one, just a little bit. Because the last time the Rams wore those uniforms against that 49er team wearing those uniforms in San Francisco, there was a brawl. And it was ugly. And Jerry Rice and a couple of the Rams got into it. Steve Young got socked in the helmet. I don't know how good that does. You have a helmet on. And there was over $35,000 levied in fines between the two sides. Even Chuck Knox and George Seifert took a swing at one another in that game. It was heated. And the 49ers beat the piss out of us. So to be back in that stadium, granted it's not the same stadium because that was Candlestick, but to be back in that town wearing those uniforms against them in that uniform felt like a little retribution. And boy, did I love watching Aaron Donald squish the 49ers quarterback over and over and over and over again, 4 times to be exact. This game was a classic example of what could be a trap game. Okay? I get it. But Super Bowl champions don't have trap games. They just have opponents that they should dominate and do. And when you look at this stretch for the Rams, look at how many different ways they won this game. They won in a shootout against Seattle. They won a close nip and tuck game at Denver. And then they dominated a bad football team in San Francisco. That's huge. That's huge. And when you look at this football team, there are elements that you look for. Todd Gurley had a great day. The defense had a great day. Jared Goff was his usual immaculate self with his completions and getting the ball down the field, getting him in and out of trouble. Zuerlein was back and looked better than ever. There are so many reasons to be optimistic about this game, but the 2 takeaways that I had from this game is this. When you are a championship caliber team, there are 2 things you don't do. One of them, we will find out if they do it next week against Green Bay, this week against Green Bay. But the other is you don't lose to inferior competition. In fact, you stomp a mud hole in their rear end and walk it dry. And that's exactly what the Rams did to San Francisco. And Littleton, guys, I'm not going to toot my own horn anymore because y'all know how good Littleton is. But I told you, this kid is something special. And I am telling you, I have never seen a starting linebacker play special teams as well as he does and play as well on defense as he does. This kid is a game changer. He is changing the position in ways I don't know we'll ever see again. I don't know of anybody that's going to break his record. Okay? He is now tied for the most blocked punts in NFL history. And he's only in his 2nd season. He has 5. Had another one this week against San Francisco. He may end up setting a record it's going to be like Hendricks' blocked punts or blocked field goals. Okay, Ted Hendricks of the Raiders still holds the record for most blocked field goals of any single individual in NFL history. I don't know that anyone's going to touch Littleton. You're going to put him in the Hall of Fame at the end of his career. I'm saying it right now. And you're going to have next to his bust as one of the best linebackers the Rams have ever had. And certainly one of the best linebackers we've seen because he's fast, he can cover the wide receiver, he can get deep on the cover two, he can stuff the run, and he can block punts. And he's got hands. The guy can catch. And he is a total, complete linebacker. He is Teddy Bruschi on steroids. He is Junior Seau minus the pass rush. And that, I don't think, has been coached yet. But he's got the speed that he could be a pass rusher. To me, everyone's talking about Aaron Donald, and they should. He's going to be a repeat NFL Defensive Player of the Year. He is a Hall of Famer already. I don't think anyone can argue that. He's the best defensive lineman that's ever played the game. Let me start over. That's a really brash statement. He's the best interior defensive lineman the Rams have ever had, and I'm including Merlin Olsen on that. I'm sorry. I love the Fantastic Four, but there's been nobody better than Aaron Donald wearing a Ram uniform. He should get all the credit. But Littleton is a perfect example of what a championship team has. They have those other players you don't think about until you're watching film. And I promise you, Green Bay put the film in that 49er game and went, who in the frig is Littleton? And why is this guy everywhere? We're worried about Aaron Donald, but what about this guy on the back end of the linebacking core? Not to mention that the corners are getting better each week. So, and that's without Akeem Talib. I'm talking defense, not offense. I haven't even started on that side of the ball right now. This Ram team is so scary, it hurts. And I've never had this feeling. In all my years as a Ram fan, I've never had a feeling where I really don't know how they lose this year. And the last barrier to breakthrough is Herculean effort by an individual player. Well, if anyone can pull that off, it's Aaron Rodgers. And we'll find that out this week on October 28th against Green Bay in L.A. By the way, they're wearing the blues. Spread the word. E, take it away, and then I'm going to do my rant.
All right, well, the Rams took care of business, what they needed to against San Francisco. San Francisco was coming off a game that they easily, in my opinion, could have won, but the wheels fell off, and it just seemed like when they went back home to Santa Clara, the wheels kept coming off, and then they saw the Rams and like, oh crap, the wheels are all the way off.
Yeah.
Goff needed. The whole Rams team did exactly what they needed to do, so there's really not much more to say. Is just Malcolm Brown led the game in rushing with 65 yards. So it's nice to see what McVay's doing. You can already tell that he's already getting early rest. He's got 14 touchdowns. He's tied with Priest Holmes at this point. With how many touchdowns Priest Holmes had throughout it when he had his big kickoff year. So
he's not even at the midway point.
Exactly, and he keeps doing what he's doing, and he's going to be breaking Priest Holmes' record.
Yeah.
So, talking up, if this were a game against a non-division foe, I don't think it would have gotten too far out of hand. As they put up 39 points, they might have taken 7 or 10 points off the board and called it a day. But it's your rival. You put whatever points on the board you want against them, and make them wear it, make them think about it. So, and it's not like the 49ers never did that to Rams before, because they have.
Damn right.
It's just a different time and place now. So Rams are rolling at 7-0, and again, you mentioned they got Green Bay coming up, so that'll be a really good test. I'm assuming that Rodgers is going to still be wearing the brace. I know he wants to shed the brace really soon, but I'm guessing he should keep that on for the next week.
Yeah. So the Rams are 7-0 for the first time since 1985. Now the Rams have been 7-0 a few times in their history. I'm going to go over this briefly. Looking at the Rams, I don't know if it's in this one or if it's in another one. It might be in my other book. The Rams are 7-0 in 85, 78, and 69. In fact, in 1969, yeah, it is in this book. It's in the back. Keep going. Matter of fact, like I said, 85, 78, and 69 was the last time they were 7-0. In '69, they actually got off to an 11-0 start. It's the best start in franchise history. So that '69 team is the only team to go 8-0, 9-0, 10-0, and then 11-0. And then they lost week 12, 13, and 14, and then proceeded to lose the NFL championship game. Or NFL divisional playoff game. Both 78 and 85, when the Rams got off to a 7-0 start, they made it to the conference championship game, had an impressive divisional playoff win, one against Dallas in 85, one against Minnesota in 78, but then proceeded to get shut out in the NFC championship game both those years, once on the road, once at home. The 85, obviously, at Eric's Bears. We lost 24-0. And then at home against Dallas in 78, we lost 28-0 in a game that was 7-0 at half. And then Dallas scored 21 third-quarter points. The ball game was over. They blew us right out of the building, or 21 fourth-quarter points. But this Ram team it's obviously different. It's obviously unlike anything I've ever seen. It's unlike anything I think anyone can honestly say they've ever seen. I would argue they're even more amazing than that Patriot team that went 18-0 or 18-1 when all was said and done. And the reason I say that is because with the Patriots, you had Tom Brady, you had Randy Moss, but there was no running element to New England that year. You weren't afraid of the Patriots' running game. In fact, that's how the Giants beat them. They pressured the quarterback, they dropped coverage, and they just blanketed the secondary. Well, with the Rams, if you do that, Todd Gurley's going to gash you for 208 yards. And defensively, no one was afraid of New England. Okay? You go back and look at their last game of the season, for example. They beat Dallas 38-35. Or the Giants. They beat the Giants 38-35. That year they beat Dallas, I think it was like 42-31. I mean, and that was consistent every week. You just couldn't keep up with New England's offense, so it didn't matter. But with this Ram team, this defense is getting better each week. The special teams is always there, lurking in the shadows, ready to hit you when you don't want it to. You know, J.J. Natson had a great game in this one. They've got the running game. They've got the passing game. So all that being said, the Rams are 7-0. Here's where I'm pissed off. Two things that I'm going to say, and then I'll let you chime in here. Number one, for a team that is 7-0, it blows me away that I've had to now listen all week long about the Jacksonville Jaguars and the frickin' Philadelphia Eagles. I've had to hear about Dallas nonstop. And God help me if I hear any more about Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. There is one team in the NFL that is undefeated. And there is nobody on this landscape that's going to be able to beat them. Nobody. The Rams are going to have a catastrophic meltdown, or a team is going to have a biblical performance in order to beat them. And no one is talking about them. I have a real problem with that. I have a real problem that we earned this moment. We earned this opportunity, and we're being ignored. I'm watching Akeem Talib. You want to know why the Rams weren't worried about the 49ers being a trap game? Because you said this on the ride, Eric. You said that McVay's using this and the Rams are listening. And I believe they are. I believe they're listening to the fact that, oh, okay, we won this week. Let's see what they're going to say about us. Crickets. And don't think that ain't pissing them off to Hades and back. So, Robert Woods last week, okay, this is the second part, and then I'm going to turn it over to you. Robert Woods last week was on one of the shows on the NFL Network. They were doing their hot takes, okay? It should have been called Hot Cakes because the crap that came out of frickin', I don't even remember, Reggie Wayne's mouth was just garbage and poop. But he looks at Robert Woods in the face and straight disrespects the Rams and Robert Woods. My hot take this week, I believe that the 49ers are going to beat the Rams and have them lose their first game of the year. He actually picked the 49ers while looking in the eyes of Robert Woods. Have they ever done that to Tom Brady? Have they ever done that to Rob Gronkowski? Have they ever done that to Edelman or Amendola when he was there, or Decker when he was there. But you're going to do that to the Rams? Dude, I don't know how Robert Woods didn't sock that fool in the face, because I might have. But the fact that the Rams went, okay, that's how it's going to be. All right. I promise you, Eric, McVay might have wanted to let off the throttle a little bit. But I promise you this, Todd Gurley and the Rams are like, don't you dare. Remember, they were picked to beat us. Let's send a message. This is outrageous. I'm not asking for the Rams to have 24/7 coverage. Don't mistake it. But gosh darn it, there should at least be one show where they're talking about the Rams at least for 2 segments. They're the only undefeated team in football, and we've never seen this kind of football team. There is literally no weakness, offense, defense, special teams, coaching, anywhere on this field. And their depth that everyone was so concerned about couldn't be any stronger. The 85 Bears got mass coverage, and they should have. I can pull the DVDs up, and I can show you pre-games. I can watch halftimes. I can watch post-games. And the Bears are getting all the love, and they should. They were phenomenal. We'd never seen anything like the Bears. Well, fast forward to now. We haven't seen anything like the Rams, offensively, defense, you name it, but we're not hearing anything except for a few things here or there. Good Morning Football, again, is the exception. They at least give the Rams some love, but even their segments are 1:30, and then they spend 25 friggin' minutes on the Jaguars and friggin' Eagles. That's my rant. There will be more to come. Eric, floor is yours.
Oh, don't forget that when you talk about the Rams-Packer game, that it's not about the Rams. It's about how Aaron Rodgers is the biggest underdog in this game of his career. So you can add that to the bulletin board material, and then at least hang 60 up on the Packers.
I love it. I'd love it. I'd love to hang 74 and give them nothing. Break the Bears record.
One record that has stood the test of time.
It really.
Trust me, you're not.
You'll never see it.
It would have to be a collaborative 85 Bear, 2000 Raven, and one of the best Steelers defenses of all time to shut Aaron Rodgers out.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Although if the Rams defense shuts him out, I think they get credit for being something really special this year. Even more than I thought.
It's going to be a 42-41 game. Shut up.
Yeah, okay. Hey, back to that Bear-Redskin game. Sammy Baugh was asked about that game, and he said, I'll tell you one thing, there's no goddamn game plan to prepare you to be down 28-0 in the first quarter with 5 minutes to go in the first quarter. I can guarantee you that much. But, Eric, what's your feeling on this? I mean, I can't be the only one this upset. I mean, does it surprise you how little they're talked about?
I would actually almost be glad that they're not talking about it. Because the more press coverage you get, the more the eyes are on you. And obviously, okay, you're in the second biggest market. No, that's fine. But, like, just fly under the radar. You know, when nobody's least expecting it, you're gonna be in the playoffs, have the number 1 seed, and then.
Then they'll still pick the wild card winner to beat the Rams.
I mean, sure, they might, but let them. Who cares? We'll take the games right here the way they should be.
Yeah.
Okay. You'll get what you want from us.
Damn right.
Don't listen to Game Day Morning. Don't listen to Fox NFL Sunday. Don't listen to CBS. Don't listen to ESPN. Don't listen to Undisputed.
Come right here to Total Football Talk.
That's right.
Yep. All righty. Anything you want to add in the parting thought?
Yeah, I just want to update the Texans-Dolphins game really quick. It's 28-17 Texans. Dolphins are driving. As I mentioned, Kiki Cutie is out of this game, another wide receiver for the Texans. And for the last 4 days, I've been like, in fantasy, man, I really want to pick up Will Ford. Because Cutie's out. He's going to have a good matchup. But I have DeAndre Hopkins in fantasy. Yeah, DeAndre Hopkins has no points in fantasy, and Will Fuller has 18 because he's got 124 yards and a touchdown. Life is over as we know it.
Yeah. It's funny because Eric told me, go pick up the Patriots. I have the Bears defense playing the Jets at home this week, right? He's like, I'm telling you, dude, don't worry about the Redskins. Get them next week. Get the Patriots. So I picked up the Patriots defense because he got Buffalo at home or in Buffalo. So we'll see if this Monday night move pays off. If I get eliminated from the playoffs because of you, Eric, I will haunt your nightmares for the rest of your existence. Or I'll just trade Todd Gurley and Melvin Gordon to Mike just to piss you off.
Oh, that trade will go through on Tuesday morning.
Oh yeah, very funny. So, yeah, I love our league and people trading. It's like Eric Ebrom and Philip. Let me get Eric Ebrom and Cooper Kupp, and I'll give you, Calvin Ridley or Tyler Boyd and Phillip Rivers. No, but I'll tell you what, I'll give you Eric Ebrom, Cooper Kupp. I don't even know the other guy that he threw in there. If you give me Todd Gurley and Phillip Rivers, yeah, okay. Let me get right on that move, you douche canoe. Anyway, that's our fantasy football. I hope you guys are having a good one. 2. That's the amount of wins I have in fantasy right now, actually. 2. So not just peace, but 2. Eric, it's been a pleasure. We will be on Saturday to do the, we'll meet Saturday, but I'll be posting on Sunday again, the pregame stuff. LT, if you're listening, trying to get you to 1,000 subscribers. So y'all, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to LT's channel yet. If you know somebody that likes LA football and they're trying to look for new stations, LT's is a great one to go to. Get him to 1,000. I want him monetized. LT, I'll also give me a shout out on this channel if you get a chance. And not a shout out on my channel, but actually write me on my channel and let's communicate. I have your number. I might just give you a call. We should do another collaborative show at some point. On one of the days Eric can't make it. Not that we'll, preview the games like we do, but maybe we'll talk about just the Rams. So, and when Eric finally gets his butt out here in Arizona, we can actually get him on the phone and have us do it in a three-man conversation. Right?
Right.
All right. Peace out. Go Rams.
Go Bears.
Horns up.
Bear down.
And late.